everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And I entitled this video, I Want to Be Loved. And y'all, what inspired this video is the video that I did about Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones posted something on Twitter, and basically she was saying that she was working on herself, trying to get healthy and look good, but she feared that even after all of that she would never find anyone to love her and that she would die alone. Now, y'all, this is one of my real talk videos, so it's going to be long. So if you can't hang with me, I understand. But if you can, then let's get through this together. Now, when I do videos like this, it's kind of hard, kind of difficult to give your own personal experiences because you're exposing yourself. But, I think that in a situation like this, I do want to share a little bit. When I had read the post that Leslie Jones put out, y'all, when I say my heart went out to her, it really did. Because as human beings, we were made from love and we were made to love each other. And after I had posted that video, I got right down in the comments and just started reading the comments. And there were so many people there that are saying that they are alone, that they completely understand where Leslie Jones was coming from, and that they can sympathize with her because they too are going through the same thing. Now, y'all, I'm going to put myself in that category as well. Let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I told you guys, and every one of you know, that I was in a marriage for 17 years. And, eventually it ended in divorce. And right after, him and I split, I did a lot of dating. I had been with him since I was like in my early 20s. So I didn't know what it was like to date as an adult because the last time I had actually dated, I was 22, 23. And here I was after it ended with him, almost 40. So I had to learn what it was that I liked. Now, I knew that I didn't want anything serious. And the reason why is because I came at that point with a lot of baggage. After you've been in a relationship that long and it didn't end well, you are a woman carrying baggage from a past relationship. And I didn't think it was fair to whatever new man came into my life for me to put that baggage on him. So basically, when I was dating, now that I look back on it, now that I'm more mature, I realized I was just trying to see if I still had it. If men were still attracted to me. And luckily at that time, it was not hard finding a man. I actually did a series of videos here on YouTube, and they're still out there, and it's called Dating While Gray. So if you want a little insight into that period of my life, watch those videos. But after dating for a year, maybe two, I decided to call it quits for a little bit. First of all, I had two kids to raise, and I did not want them to see men running in and out of my house. When I dated, I tried to keep my dating life separate from my kids because I knew there wasn't anything serious there. I was trying to fulfill something in me. But towards the end of that time, I met a guy, and his name was Tony. And Tony was, to me, something that, or someone that God sent to me to restore my faith in men. Tony was the sweetest man that I have ever met in my life. There was not one thing, looking back now, that I could say that I didn't like about him. He was funny. He made me laugh. He had some of the same interests that I did. He enjoyed the same music that I did. And also, one thing about Tony that I had never had before with any other man in my life, Tony talked to me. I exposed to him more things about my inner feelings than the person that I had spent 17, almost 18 years with. Because Tony was a man that he actually listened to what I said and made me feel good about myself, and he appreciated me. Now, if you watch those videos that I did called Dating While Gray, my last video during that series, because I think it's about 8 videos, I ended with Tony. Because when I met Tony about 2 months in or 3 months in, Tony had told me that he had MS, multiple sclerosis, and he was battling with it. And complications from that ended Tony's life. He had a massive heart attack when he was in his mid 40s and he died. And at first, when he died, I was angry, just very angry, because I felt like God had given me this person that checked all the boxes that I needed in a man, and then he took it away. But then as time passed, I realized that what God had given me was a gift. Because after I had gotten divorced and I was out here dating, I wasn't feeling good about myself. I wasn't feeling good about the guys that I was meeting. And I was just not in a good place when it came to having a partner. But just those 3 years, almost 4 years that I spent with Tony in my life, it renewed my faith in men. Now, since then, I have dated once or twice, but nothing serious. I have been by myself for more years than I care to admit. And I don't know if it was, for the first few years, I was busy raising my kids, and I really didn't have that much time to feel lonely or alone or actually need someone in my life. And also, I was doing work on myself because I felt like when I got into another relationship, I wanted to be all in. I did not want to be bringing baggage from another relationship. So I knew that I needed time to heal. But that was several years ago. And since then, I've not had, a long term or stable relationship. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's that, in my age bracket, there are not a lot of men to choose from, or that the men that I would want are already taken. I know that it's been enough time where I am healed. I don't carry that baggage that I had, say, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, because I took time to understand, first of all, who I was at this age. Because, like I said, I had not dated since I was in my early 20s. You spend, your young life with this one man, you forgot what it was like to date. So I needed to find out who Rachel was at this age. And so I've done that. So now here I am. In a month, I will be 53 years old. And let me just tell y'all, I am not one of those women who will say, I am fine without a man. Because I know that if I say that, I am lying. My mother told me years ago that, when you can take care of yourself financially, and all of that, you don't need a man. You want him. And as these years have passed, I don't necessarily agree with that. I've lived enough life to realize that you do need someone in your life. When I, read Leslie Jones' comments and thought about loneliness, there have been times in my life that things were bad and I needed someone to talk to, you know, someone to work out problems with, someone to wrap their arms around me at night and tell me that everything is going to be okay, you know, and I could lay my head on his chest, his shoulder, and feel safe in his arms. I missed that part, you know. I do miss that part. I remember what it was like when I was in a relationship long term and you had someone who faced the world together. I was part of a we. And for so many years now, it has been me. I. Not a we, just Rachelle out here by herself. Loneliness is, like I said, it's not a good thing. It takes a toll on you. It messes with your self-confidence. You know, your 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 feeling of who you are. I at times, since I've spent so many years by myself, I at times wonder if I met someone, would I be able to live with them? Because when you've lived by yourself for years, you get like set in your ways. You want your house this way, you want this to go that way, you want that to go that way. Sometimes I say to myself, if I met a man right now, he couldn't live with me. He wouldn't want to live with me because I have certain ways and I might aggravate him, you know? And then I say, well, I'm at an age where I don't necessarily need to live with them to be in a relationship. Now, I would want them to be faithful if we weren't living together, but I don't necessarily need to live with them. But then that brings me to a question in my head. Do I ever want to be married again? And when you're married, you should live together. That is what it's supposed to be. You and this man come together as one. And the answer to that is I don't know, y'all. What I do know is that I would love a relationship. I would love someone that I could talk to. I felt safe in his arms, in his presence, in him being someone that I call my partner, you know, but I don't know what the future holds. And I don't know that I am one of those women that go out looking for something because I don't do that. And then people say that when you do want someone in your heart, don't go out looking for it, because you'll stumble upon something that may not be good for you. But if you're not looking, how do you find them? People say you can find someone in church, you can find someone just out walking, you know, but once you get to a certain age, you're not popping like you were when you were younger, for lack of better words. You know, it was a time when I was younger and my body was tight, y'all, and things were right. And you could just walk down the street and guys would just holler at you, as we call it. But as you start to get older, you're not the one that they're hollering at. A lot of times men my age, in their early 50s, they want women that are in their late 30s or in their 40s. They don't necessarily want women that are their age. That's one thing. And then, I could always go older, and I've thought about that. I am 53. I could actually date someone who's 63. And I have decided to explore that avenue of dating. This thing when you're dating when you're older and you have responsibility. You may have adult children. It's pretty tricky, y'all. It's pretty tricky because even though I have dropped that baggage that I had carried in those first years after I was divorced, there are some residual effects. My trust factor is not as blind as it was when I was younger. When I was younger and someone that I was in a relationship with told me something because I loved them, I believed them. Now, eventually, a lot of that was shattered because shit comes out, but I was a trusting woman. But life has taken some of that trust away. So the thing is, like when I meet people and it's the initial meeting and you're trying to get to know each other, I have to learn to take them in the beginning at face value and then start, you know, my investigation, for lack of better words, finding out who they really are, um, and all of that. My problem is my trust factor is so high sometimes that I don't give them a chance. And I can easily admit that. My fear is meeting someone who's playing games or who's just looking for another link in their chain. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be just another woman in his string of women. I want someone that is ready to settle down and just enjoy life. And I don't mean settle down in the realm of getting married and all of that because I don't even know if I need to be married at this age. I really don't know if I need that. More so, I just want companionship. Someone to go to the movies with, go travel with, go see concerts with, things like that. And of course, there's the intimacy factor. You do desire to be intimate, you know? So, in all of that, I think that a lot of it is just taking your time. Down in my comments, a lot of people said, pray and God will bring to you what you need. And I truly believe that. In these last few years, I have said to myself, I do not want anything that I don't feel that was sent to me by God. Because it seems like when I'm doing the choosing, sometimes I make mistakes. I can't see the forest for the trees because I may be so infatuated by that man. And at this point in my life, I don't want to make mistakes. You know, my time here on earth, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, I am 53 years old. I am in midlife. We're not living to 130, 140 years old. We live to 80, 90s. So this second half of my life, I don't want to be dealing with games and all of that. I want someone who has, like me, gotten all of that stuff out of their system. Another thing that surprises me about myself, y'all, and this is a revelation to me. When I was younger, I was very into women's rights and, you know, I am strong, I am this, and, I'm not going to be uh, following any man and all of that. And maybe I'm not explaining this correctly, but I hope you guys can kind of understand what I'm saying. But as time has gone on, I have learned that there can only be one person in the home wearing the pants. You know, the Bible teaches us, and I'm not really religious, y'all, but I've come to believe this, that the man should be the head of the home. When I was younger, I was full of so much piss and fire. If someone had said that to me, I would be, arguing back and forth with them. Well, women can be the head of the home and blah 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 blah. I was young and I hadn't lived a lot of life. But at this point in my life, I don't have a problem with the man being the head of the household. I don't have a problem following my man. But here's what I say about that man. If I am going to be your partner in life and I have agreed to let you be the head of the household and me to follow you because you are the head of the household, what I ask is that when we're traveling down the road of life, that you lead in a good way. If I see that we're traveling down the road of life and you're wandering from the left to the right and you don't seem to have any direction, it worries me and it makes me step ahead and try to make sure that we're back on course. And that's some residual from me from my younger years because I don't want to, blindly follow someone into a point in my life where everything is messed up. So I have got to learn to be a little bit more, and I cannot even believe, y'all, I am saying this word, submissive. I come from a family of very strong women, very strong, y'all. So when you're raised by women like that, it was hard when I was younger to let a man be a man. And I have learned, though, in my older years that in not doing that, I made some mistakes. You know, I made some mistakes. And what I applaud myself on, you know, is recognizing that I made mistakes and admitting it and able to let go of that control that I felt that I needed when I was younger. Like I said, if this man that comes into my life shows me that he's strong and that he can be a good head of the family or head of the household, I have no problem now letting him have that. And I really can't even believe that I'm saying this because this is so different from the person that I used to be. But I guess this is what life does to you. I also know that no person can bring me happiness. I'm going to say that again. No person can bring Rachel happiness. Happiness has to emanate from inside of me. I have to be okay with myself before happiness, I can accept happiness from someone else, you know? And that took me a long time to learn. When I was younger and things were going wrong, and, you're like, well, what is happening? Why is this happening? I didn't or couldn't take the time to sort it out in my young mind. I had my idea of what I thought things should be. And if it didn't work like I thought it should, then I would I would get mad. My sense of compromise back then was not as evolved as it is now. Now I'm not going to say back then, if there were things going on in the home and I felt that I was wrong, that I wouldn't, back down. But it took a lot for me to do that. And now, since I've had time to really think about life and being in a relationship and what I want out of a relationship, I also have had to think about what the man wants. What exactly does he want from me? You know, it's not like at this age that we're going to be raising kids because let's face it, we're middle age. We have adult kids. But my question is, who will I be to him? You know, will I be for him the safe harbor that I'm looking for in him? And if so, how do I become that person? You know, or am I that person already? Now, I know in my case, I've done a lot of soul searching during this time that I've been single. And one thing I know, and I'm glad of, is that I don't hold any ill will towards men. I just think that I have not run into the man that God has out there for me yet. I don't know where he is. I hope he hurry up and come on this way. But I want to do it in God's time. And I know I've been mentioning, the Lord and God and all of that through the video. And the funny thing is, I'm not really religious, y'all. I mean, let me just say this. I'm spiritual. I believe in God. Um, you know, I believe in all that. I believe in a higher power. But I'm not a church going person. Life has has taught me to trust in God, because when I've had bad times in my life, it was my prayers and my belief that things were going to get better that I believe pulled me up out of those bad times. I just know that as a woman, I have my vision